True off my chest. My husband's fart woke me up out of a deep sleep, and my brain dreamt that it was in danger. What you're about to read is a literal nightmare. Everything about this story is true, and I need to say that up front because it feels like it's too horrifying to be real. Even to myself. I wish that it was fake. More than anything, I was so tired. Mumming is so hard. Something quirky my husband brought into our marriage is a 30-pound weighted blanket. 30, it covers both of us and is heavy. So anything underneath it, such as air, will stay underneath it and grow in power. And it did. I trusted that man. I spent time with him that night. He even agreed to watch 500 Days of Summer with me in bed. I think 10 minutes in, I fell hard asleep. He, however, watched the entire movie late into the night, like 1 a.m. I was deep sleep dreaming. I don't know what it was about, but suddenly things got dangerous. My dream turned into chaos. It was as if my brain was trying to warn me of danger, lethal danger, and didn't have enough time to organize its thoughts into a more tried and true nightmare. It just started sending chaotic images of danger and throwing emotions of terror and fear into whatever current dream I was having. In hindsight, I think my brain was trying to disassociate from itself to survive. I was suddenly jarred awake to the smell of hot, hot death. Remember the weighted blanket and its effect on everything? He had fluffed the blanket, which is wild because it's so freaking huge and unmanageably heavy. Hot, moist, high-temperature air had shot straight into my face, and it was like nothing I had ever smelled. It wasn't eggs. It wasn't sour. It wasn't ripe. It was pure garbage energy of skunk trash shy, covered in straight-up gasoline that made me full of rage, fear, horror, dry heaves. It was like the smell was an emotion. I can't even explain it. I started dry heaving violently and panic screaming and running in a half-awake state of drunken-like prancing in the dark. I had to sleep in the other room. But even when I got to the other room, my pajamas smelled like the fart. I later found out he had farted like 10 whole minutes before I woke up. 10 minutes. It had been roasting into my skin for 10 minutes. He was laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. I don't know if I'll ever get past this. True off my chest. 5 years ago, I paid my brother $20,000 to never speak to me again. 5 years ago, both of our parents were killed by carbon monoxide poisoning in the house we grew up in. Didn't really have much money, and when it all netted out, we each got around 2,000 Eiseners. We never really got along, and he's always had trouble hanging on to a job, has multiple kids he doesn't see, just a really shitty situation all around. I didn't really need the money, and with our parents gone, I have no real reason to interact with him. So I gave him my half of the estate and told him I'd rather we just part ways. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm happily living in another state and have no idea what he's up to, and have no desire to find out. Every once in a while I'll get a random text from someone claiming to be his wife or girlfriend, but I always just block and move on. True off my chest. Today I didn't attend my secret birthday party, organized exclusively by my friends. For a whole week my friends were talking about how we should go see a football match today. I said, okay. But yesterday I got really sick and said I wasn't going. For the whole day my friends were constantly calling me, texting me to go, and even though I'm not half as sick as I was yesterday, I always refused. They asked so many times that at one point I just started ignoring them. Turns out it was a birthday party made for me that was planned for a whole month. They had the whole restaurant alone for us. They had a super expensive birthday present, and it was like an immense number of people there. I'm feeling like the biggest asshole in the world. True off my chest. Boyfriend prefers porn over sex with me and told me in the cruelest way. So a couple of nights ago, I had sex with my boyfriend, and the next day, he told me he didn't feel satisfied because he comes better with porn. He wasn't trying to have a conversation or figure things out, he just said it like it was nothing. If he wanted to jerk off, fine, but he went a step further and basically told me why I don't measure up. Why he didn't want to come in me, and why he just wanted to finish on his own. I never asked for details, but he made sure I knew why, and that's why he was going to jerk off. I was stunned and hurt. I told him that some things just don't need to be said, because they can really hurt your partner, and his response was, boo freaking who, get over yourself. Then he called me childish. I wasn't trying to start a fight. I just wanted to tell him that what he said hurt me, but instead of listening, he dismissed me completely. Now I feel like I should have just kept my mouth shut. I thought he was supposed to be my safe space, someone I could be vulnerable with, but all I got was more hurt. I feel like I have no one to talk to, and my thoughts are consuming me. I thought I could turn to my boyfriend, but that backfired. So here I am, writing this because I don't have anyone else to vent to, and it's killing me inside. Am I overreacting? Am I being too sensitive because I can't shake how much his words got to me? True off my chest. My boyfriend and I have a non-traditional relationship, and I couldn't be happier. My 28F boyfriend 30M, and I look like just a regular couple to everyone else. We've been together for over 2 years. Nobody in our life knows that our relationship is non-traditional in every sense of the word. I am a lesbian who, for various reasons, chooses not be out. He is a straight man who doesn't enjoy sex. We don't kiss or have sex, but we are very physically affectionate and are always cuddling and holding hands. I know people will think we're just close friends, but we are more than that. He is my soulmate. There is absolutely nobody on this earth I would rather spend my life with, and he feels the same. Neither of us feel like we're missing out on anything. We love each other so deeply. I don't expect anyone to understand, but we are really happy together. Edit. Thank you all so much for the sweet comments. I really did not expect so many people to see this. I really appreciate it. True off my chest. My husband left our 5-year-old and 9-month-old home alone and refuses to explain why. My husband is 43 and I'm 31. We've been married for 7 years and have a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. My husband left our children alone and he refuses to admit to it or tell me where he was. I'm furious, enraged, and my husband keeps telling me I'm making a big deal about nothing. This just happened this weekend. I am on the board of directors for a local non-profit organization. I had to attend an event for that organization this past Saturday, and I was gone for most of the day. My husband was supposed to be home with our kids. I texted him a few times and he responded. When I called around midday, he didn't respond, but that's not very unusual. Shortly after that, I got a call from my mom. She said my son had just called her, and when she asked him what he and his sister were doing, he said they were both watching TV. When she asked where their dad was, he said his dad wasn't there. My mom asked him several other questions, and from my son's responses, she believed he was telling the truth and that my husband wasn't there and that there was no adult there at all. She said he didn't seem scared to be alone or worries about where his dad was at. He just called her to chat. He has a tablet designed for children with pre-programmed contacts that he can call. It's only a few people, just family members. I left the event immediately and began texting and calling my husband repeatedly. He didn't respond to my first several attempts. It took him about 10 minutes. I was halfway home at that point to respond. I was so confused, so worried, really mad, and I asked him where he was. He said he was at home. I told him our son had just told his grandmother that he was home alone with his baby sister watching TV about 15 minutes ago. My husband denied it, and I told him I was too upset to talk and drive. When I got home, I checked on the kids right away, and they were both fine. I asked my husband again, where was he? He said he was home the entire time. He doesn't know what our son was talking about. But he must have just been confused since he had gone to the basement to do some laundry. I ran down to the basement. It was the same load of laundry I'd thrown in the dryer the night before. He didn't do any laundry when I was gone. I asked my husband why my son would be confused about whether his dad was home or not. Where in our home would he have gone, and for how long for our son to think his dad wasn't home? That doesn't make sense with a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You wouldn't leave them unattended that long. Why was he nowhere to be found when my mom asked my son to go check certain areas of the house? I begged my husband to just admit it, to stop treating me like an idiot, and to stop accusing our son of lying. Just tell me the truth, because being lied to right to my face is so incredibly maddening. He insists he was home, but he can't come up with any believable story of where he was at or what he was doing during that time. The way he answers me when I ask him about this and demand truthful answers is so dismissive. When I tell him you left our children alone, he quickly says, no, I didn't, so anyway. He says I'm overreacting and letting our son's imagination drive me crazy. I am convinced he was gone. We don't have a Ring camera, but at least one of our neighbors does. I'm so upset about this that I'm tempted to ask our neighbor for the Ring footage. I had to go out to my car and scream and cry because I got so upset. Of course, I didn't want my kids to see my reaction. I can't put into words how upset I am about the fact that I know he must have really left them alone, but have no proof and am being treated like I'm just a paranoid nutcase of a mother woman by him. True off my chest. Overheard by our daughter having a conversation about sex. A private conversation between my wife and me was overheard by our teen daughter this morning, and I'm not sure what to do next. After returning from the gym in the garage after getting out of the car, my wife mentioned that she was feeling better, she had been ill this week, and that we should make time for sex later. She said if I'm not up to it, I'll help you out at least. I said that her timing was great because seeing her in her swimsuit at the gym gave me a huge urge to go down on her if she's up for that. She gave me a smile and raised her eyebrows, but then she realized our teen daughter was standing behind me. She had heard it all. She was in the garage and we didn't realize it. I pretended or hoped she hadn't heard anything, but my wife says she clearly did. I don't know if we should talk to our daughter about what she heard or just leave it alone. True off my chest. I don't want kids, but other people tell me I'm wrong. I don't want kids. I've never wanted children. I am a self-aware person. I would not be a good mother. I am very selfish. I hate doing something that I don't want to do. I couldn't imagine doing that every day for the rest of my life. I never played with baby dolls. Never imagined myself and future partner parenting children. Never wanted it. I take care of my cat who I love dearly, and that's already at my limit. One of the easiest pets to care for. Clean the litter once a day, make sure fed and watered, and bowls cleaned regularly. I have a pet that sometimes I don't feel like doing those tasks for, but I do it because I love my cat. But I don't have to raise my cat. I got her as a kitten, and she naturally learned to use the litter box by herself. First time, didn't even need to train her. So smart. You can't do that with a child. An infant. First 3 months, no sleep. Feedings every 2 hours. Then you have to potty train them. Then you have to teach them emotional intelligence and actual intelligence. School, dentist, doctors, recitals, dances, sports, academic things. I don't want to do any of that. I don't want my life to revolve around a child. I want to live my own life. The thought of being pregnant with a child sickens me. A parasite in my belly? No thank you. Did you know that when you breastfeed a baby, if the mother is not taking in certain vitamins or nutrients, or whatever, her body will drain it from wherever possible to produce milk for the child? You can lose bone density and bones will be more likely to break. You can even lose your eyesight. That's why they tell you to keep taking prenatal vitamins ever postpartum. When people ask me if I have children, I say no. Then they ask me when I'm going to start having kids. I say never because I don't want any. Some literally gasp. But what about your husband? Doesn't he want kids? Yes, I am married. However, when I was looking for my lifelong partner, one of the very first things I asked him was if he wanted children. Because if he did, I was going to nip it in the bud to not waste mine or his time. He doesn't want them either. I'm not hating on other people having children. You want 8 children? I wish and hope for a fertile womb for you. I hope you get your dream, truly. It's just not for me. All but 2 individuals have told me you'll want them later. Probably in your 30s. You'll want them down the road sometime. Every does. This is just a stage. Or but you're a woman. Aren't all women naturally born to want children? No, they are not. And also, children are a blessing from God. How dare you not want to receive that blessing? A mother going through fertility issues is probably jealous that you have a fertile womb and you're not using it. Yes, that was actually said to me. I have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. 1 in 10 women have, and I have a 5% chance of getting pregnant, which sometimes does make me very relieved that I have a basically infertile womb. Because I'm not just super fertile when women who do actually want to be mothers can't. Anyways, I'm super glad I got this off my chest. True off my chest. My partner isn't a gamer and it makes me want to end the relationship. This might sound insane. In my free time when I'm not drawing, I spend my time gaming. Anything from very story-driven games to shooters. I play games with my best friend, my siblings. Enjoying the games itself, talking about tactics to beat a hard boss, and sharing memes and inside jokes is a big part of how I feel close to someone. Granted, it's a bit silly to put such importance on it. I am struggling with knowing whether this is a valid concern of incompatibility or whether I'm being difficult. I tried getting her into video games 3 separate occasions, but she just tells me that it isn't for her, which is completely valid. I know that not everyone can enjoy everything. She loves dancing, K-pop and music, and I am aware of the fact that I wouldn't love dancing. This is kinda difficult to me nevertheless. In all my past relationships, we were both gamers, and now I'm really struggling to stay attracted and attached to her. I feel like a horrible vain person. People can have different hobbies and love each other anyway. But apparently it's difficult for me to do that. It's insane. Edit, I am getting some hate, and it's honestly valid. To clarify, I don't think I need our interests to align completely. I'm just struggling with having a girlfriend that has no interest in games whatsoever. Leads to us mainly being able to watch shows, which gets boring as she is often tired. Which is fair, she works hard. So I don't try to push her into going to place because she pushes herself way too hard anyway. I'm new to dating, so I'm trying to find out what level of similar or same hobbies is ideal for me. I might be overreacting with this though. You guys have a point. True off my chest. My POS dad slept with my wife and got her pregnant a long time ago. I had a shit show B-day with a few close friends at my own house. At the end of the party, after everyone left, my dad told me that he needed to confess something that was killing him inside. I said sure. He first started off saying that he did a lot of wrong to me and my wife. He hoped that I could forgive him. I was confused as to what he was talking about. I asked what he did, that he needed my forgiveness. He said to me that when I was on a business trip, he invited my wife. My wife and dad got together one day, and they ended up doing the thing that led my wife carrying his baby. I just responded, WTF? Is this a joke? He told me that he was being serious and not lying to me. I still couldn't believe what I was hearing. He kept going on, saying that the baby didn't survive, and I couldn't bear to hear it, so I just said, stop the BS, and told him to leave my house. I physically pushed him out of my house, and I went directly to my bedroom. My wife wasn't at my B-day party at all, as she was hanging out with her girls. We were planning to go out for a date night later, but it's not going to happen. My wife doesn't know that my dad confessed to me about their affair. I don't know what I am going to do. I don't know how I am going to look at my wife and ask if this was true or not. After some time, I went downstairs again to check the front door, and my dad was still waiting in his car. He was just staring at his steering wheel crying. I really wanted him to go away. Wanted to say something, but couldn't because I didn't trust myself to not do something cruel. My wife still hasn't come yet, and I'm writing this. Thanks, Paul's dad, for giving me the best gift ever. I needed it. You are the best dad evers. True off my chest. I just found out the truth about my mom who died when I was little. So my mom died when I was little, as you can tell from the title, and since nobody in my family spoke of her basically, I never really knew, never asked. But I remembered that once I went to the beach with my mom and one of her friends. When I asked my dad, he didn't know anything and told me that I must have dreamed about that. My whole life, I knew nothing but today I spoke to, and he told me that my mom was cheating on my dad. She could not leave him because he threatened her that in case she ever left him, he would take me from her. Their relations had become really bad, and at some moment my mom met another man. From what I understand, they started seeing each other. She died in an accident. At that time, she was with that man and he died with her, which I didn't know because I was always told that she was alone. I have a very good relationship with my dad, but now I feel so strange about him and my mom, and I don't know what to do. True off my chest. You wake up. You clock in. You die slowly. I speak 8 languages. I've worked in corporations for years. I've handled customers, technical issues, problem solving, things that take brains, patience, and effort. And yet here I am, another disposable cog in the machine, trapped in a corporate job where the only real skill that matters is how well you fake your enthusiasm. I didn't dream of this. Nobody does. But life has a way of dragging you into places you never meant to be. I moved to a paradise country, thinking I'd escape. But you can't run from the system. It follows you. It owns you. I took a job because bills don't wait. Because being responsible means sacrificing your soul in exchange for a paycheck. And from the first day, I knew I was already on the losing side. I had a manager who decided my fate before I even had a chance. A bad start, and suddenly you're a liability. No matter your skills, no matter your experience, your reputation is sealed by someone else's perception. Every mistake, no matter how small, is ammunition. Every process, every pointless meeting, every layer of micromanagement, designed to squeeze the last drop of energy out of you before replacing you with a cheaper model. And the worst part? Everyone knows it. The forced smiles, the empty small talk, the constant pretense that we give a fuck about the company's values, the mental gymnastics of pretending that any of this matters. And so, you absorb the pressure, you swallow the bullshit, because that's what being an adult means, right? Shut up. Do your job, pay your bills, and die quietly. But my mind refuses to comply. I look around and I see it. This whole game is a scam. A loop designed to keep you busy, too tired to fight, too comfortable to leave. You convince yourself it's fine. That at least it pays. That it could be worse. And so you endure, trading your hours for survival, until you wake up one day and realize this isn't survival. This is slow death. I should have known better. I've been running my whole life. My childhood was chaos. A mother doing her best, but life pulling her in every direction. Schools changed. Homes lost. Stability, a fantasy. And somewhere along the way, I learned to adapt. To survive. To make do with whatever life threw at me. But it leaves scars. It makes you restless. You chase things, careers, countries, distractions, trying to build something stable on a foundation of sand. And then my daughter was born. I wasn't ready. The situation was fucked. The drama, the fights, the decisions made without me until one day she was gone. Taken. A whole life, a whole future, ripped out of my hands and flown to another country. Outside the reach of the EU, outside the reach of my choices. I did what I could. I drowned the pain in smoke, in the comforting haze of weed, in the illusion that if I numbed myself enough, I wouldn't have to feel. 7 years of it. 7 years of letting time slip, of escaping instead of facing reality. But reality doesn't let you go. It waits. And when I finally woke up, when I finally quit smoking, the world hit me like a train. Because the truth is, you can do anything. You can move to another country. You can quit everything and start over. You can build a business, take risks, bet on yourself. You can tear yourself out of this goddamn loop. So why do we stay stuck? Fear. We convince ourselves that it's too late, that we don't know how, that it's risky. But the real risk? Wasting your one life in a system designed to drain you. A life spent staring at screens, pretending to care about emails, working jobs that shouldn't even exist. I see it now. The corporate world was never designed for people like me. I don't know where I'm heading, but I refuse to stay here. I've made a plan. I've mapped the way out. And I'll take every step, claw my way through every obstacle, until I'm standing on the other side, free. Because the alternative, waking up in 10 years, realizing I never left. And that would be the real nightmare. True off my chest. I 19F shit my pants in front of my classmates, and I want to disappear off the face of the earth. Title basically says it all. I had to rush to my class in my first year of uni. I was already nervous since I wanted to make a good first impression on my potential lifelong friends. I transferred to this new uni since I switched majors and left my old friend group behind in another city. My way of coping so far was stress eating, mainly pizza, which I didn't think would affect me since I have a gluten intolerance, but it's rare, mild. I didn't feel the consequences until the day of, on my way to class. I had cold sweats and everything. Nevertheless, I thought I could hold it in. We were halfway through our first lecture when I threw in the towel. I wanted to get out of the lecture hall without making a scene, so I just picked up my things quietly and calmly made my way to the door. Unfortunately, as you could guess from the title, I shit myself in front of everyone. I can still remember the teacher's face. The rest was a blur. I don't know how to come back from this. How do I even face these people again? True off my chest. I wish my mom would run away again. My mom is schizophrenic, which was triggered by a traumatic event that happened when she was 19-20, and has been for the last 20 years of her life. She's 47. She ran off to New Jersey. I live in Pennsylvania, and so does my whole family, and had me. My grandparents, I might refer to them as mom or dad during this. I've called them this all my life, being the angels they are hurried over when they got the call from the hospital and got custody of me within 4 days of me being alive. They gave her a choice of living in an assisted living place or living with them, and she obviously chose to live with them. From ages 0 to 12, she wasn't really a bother to me. Her room was always next to mine, but when I was younger, she either wasn't as noisy or I just didn't notice, or our old house had thicker walls. IDK. But from 13 now, I think the schizophrenia got worse. She's constantly chattering to herself in her room. Sometimes it progresses into screaming matches with whoever she's imagining. A lot of the times she has her TV blaring, watching only music videos and/or singing incredibly loud and bad. It's gotten to the point where my Beats Fit Pros don't cancel out her noise when I'm not playing anything. And when she's not awake, she's annoying me with her snoring. I don't sleep in the room next to her in our current house, but I did for about 4-ish years. It was hell. I am very thankfully that my parents gave me their big room down the hall, and they sleep downstairs because I think I would have lost my damn mind living next to her all this time. I'm pretty fucking close to losing it living with her. And if you know anything about schizophrenia, you know being a kleptomaniac comes with it. She's almost gotten my parents arrested because she would sneak off during grocery trips or trips to the mall to go steal random shit. She's taken countless things out of the fridge that I was saving, along with my other family members' stuff. Enough with all that venting, let me get to what the title's about. In 2019, she ran away to New York for reasons I still don't know, but my mom speculates that it was for a boy. She's had 3 kids with men we have never met, but only 2 could be saved by my grandparents, unfortunately. My poor brother is still out there with another family, hopefully alive. Back to the title, she was in New York for around 6 months, I think, and it was awesome. At the time, I was still in the room next to her, but since she was gone, I got to use her room. I had my bedroom and now a gaming room. It was heaven, but she ending up stealing something out there and the police contacted my grandma, and ran down there to get her. I feel bad that I was kinda sad when she told me they found her. I actually had a dream that she walked up the stairs and said, "I'm back 2 days before they called," which always freaked me out. I just wish she would go away. To a place where they take care of people with mental issues, or even if she's running away to New York again, I just want peace and quiet. I'm tired of sharing a living space with her. I haven't even mentioned how inconsiderate she is when it comes to sharing a bathroom. Water all over the floor after a shower, fills the bathroom trash with trash that belongs in a real trash can and lets it sit until I take it out. Uses way too much hand, soap and toilet paper to the point where me and my grandma joke about her eating it. All of these things are just the tip of the iceberg, but this post is long enough already. I can never tell this to anyone in my life because they'll look at me like I'm heartless and an asshole. I don't care how I look on here, I need to get this off my chest. I know she has a mental illness that affects her entire life, but I don't want to be around that. I'm sometimes scared to be around her because the way she yells and thumps around in her room is kinda scary sometimes. But overall, she's just very, very annoying to live with. Throw any insults my way, I know they're coming. I just can't do this for much longer. And for anyone who'll ask, why don't you move out? I work as a caregiver to my sick dad, and I can't leave him. He took care of me, and still tries to for 19 years, and now it's my turn. True off my chest. My sister had me diagnosed with schizophrenia to silence me, so she could marry into a 9-figure family. I know this sounds insane, but I need to get this out there. My sister systematically orchestrated my psychiatric diagnosis, not because I was sick, but because she needed to erase me to secure her engagement to an ultra-wealthy, powerful family. I was a normal, functional adult before this. I worked, I went to school, I had a life. Then suddenly, people started treating me differently. My jobs fired me for bizarre reasons. My sister gaslit me into seeing psychiatrists who diagnosed me with schizophrenia despite no history of psychosis. Once that label stuck, it was impossible to escape. Every time I tried to explain what was happening, it was just used as proof that I had no insight into my illness. I've lost everything: career, reputation, stability, all to serve my sister's ambitions. She is now engaged, accepted by a family that once looked down on her, and I have been discarded. I'm writing a book about my experience. I don't care if they come after me anymore. The truth needs to be out there. TLDR. My sister orchestrated a false psychiatric diagnosis to erase me so she could secure her place in a powerful, wealthy family. This isn't speculation. I have texts, emails, and a clear pattern of targeting. Every time I push back, they use my diagnosis to discredit me. I refuse to be erased. For those asking, why would your sister need to do this? Powerful, wealthy families don't just accept people. They test them. My sister needed to prove her loyalty, and I was the easiest target. This wasn't just about getting rid of meat, it was about showing them she could remove an obstacle without making a scene. People say, this sounds paranoid, but that's the whole point. Psychiatric labels are used as weapons to discredit people so that no one believes them. That's why this worked so well. True off my chest. I wish I wasn't an awful child. Probably deleting this soon as I just need to get it off my chest and will regret it later. I've always been kind of just there. I'm not one of those weird kids that nobody likes. I have friends and could probably go around and sit with most groups in my school without it being awkward. I'm just not in their group. I have to beg to be let into group projects because everybody already has theirs. It's like everybody went to a secret pick-a-friend day that I wasn't invited to. Like everyone knows something I don't. I just don't get how to make friends. I've tried everything. I've talked and I've made whole groups of people laugh. I've been quiet. I've been vulnerable. I've been secretive. I've been friendly. It's not like people don't like me. I'm just an outsider who everyone knows. My home life isn't better. My mom hates me most out of everyone. She came clean a while ago. I'll admit I've not been a model kid. I have faults. I've argued with her. I've probably been rude. But I try my hardest. She told me that she has no faith in me going to university, even though I really want to. I'm not even failing school. I even got 6 A's on my report card, mostly B's and just a few C's. She said I'm where my siblings were when they were 15 and I'm 17. She says I used to be the smartest of all of them, but I stopped and I'm delayed because of COVID. I used to be like my siblings. We had this whole dynasty of teacher jokes at my school. We were all in council. I quit last year because the main group of council kids were mean to me, but I feel like I've let all the teachers down. My brother was a great student who everyone loved. Same with my sister. She was the valediction for Christ's sake. And then there's me. I forget to go to class sometimes. I can't even find a group for a project, even though I try my very hardest, and they have to pair me. I don't help with student council anymore, and they've all been asking me, when will I come back? They're disappointed in me, and so is my mom, and if I had friends, I'm sure they'd be disappointed in me too. I don't get it. I really want to go to university, but my mom thinks I can't, and I probably won't, because I fail at things even though I'm trying. True off my chest. I was an iPad kid, and I feel like I was robbed of normal childhood development. If you are looking for a horror story that proves just how bad the new iPad kid phenomenon is, and how much worse it is going to get, this is it. I was raised in a neighborhood where there was not a single other kid. Nobody was my age, so I was already pretty isolated. My parents gave me an iPad the year it came out. I think I was around 4-6. And since then I was hooked. I got addicted to YouTube and would spend entire days watching mindless content. Throughout my entire childhood, I never played any sports, never had any real hobbies, and rarely even went outside. I just stayed inside at a time in my life when I should have been running around with other kids socializing. YouTube and video games. That was it. There were times when I was interested in picking up a real hobby. I wanted to play basketball at some point. Another time I got interested in parkour and wanted to do that. Later I got interested in martial arts. I saw all kinds of videos where I watched people do these things. I wanted to start. My parents never let me do them. It was too much of a hassle to drive me to a place where I can do something in the real world. It was easier to just leave me with my iPad, being overstimulated in my little room. I never developed any real social skills. I am horribly myopic and basically blind without my glasses. It feels like my whole childhood went by in just the blink of an eye when I try to remember it, because nothing ever really happened. I was first exposed to porn at 11 and was immediately addicted. This porn addiction stayed with me for years afterward. At the age of 14, I stumbled into various political extremist communities and was radicalized, leading me to espouse neo-Nazi views. I was pulled into all kinds of dark extremism without even knowing it. When I went into high school, I could not connect with anybody. I couldn't even keep a basic conversation going. I could not make any friends because I was simply incapable. I could not comprehend the concept of being social or establishing friendships. During my entire 4 years of high school, I made a total of 2 friends. I watched everybody else around me socialize, and it would sometimes make me cry, because I did not know how to interact with people and create real connections like everybody else. Whenever I talked to people, they seemed repulsed by me because I had no understanding of social norms or proper mannerisms. I would unintentionally push everybody away. I felt robbed of my teenage years. To this day, I feel like I am still dealing with the consequences. I have since kicked the ideology I was brainwashed into believing in by assholes online. My social skills have improved drastically, but I still have other issues that I am working through. I feel like I might be damaged in all kinds of other ways that I am not even aware of yet. It angers me knowing that I could have had a real childhood, real connections, and real experiences. I still resent my parents for being so complacent, leaving me in my room for the internet to raise me and turn me into a cave-dwelling freak. True off my chest. An affair with a married man and unsure what to do. I, 28F, have been involved with a married man, 37M, for 4 years, and I'm struggling to let go. We were colleagues, and it started casually. He was upfront about having had other casual affairs before. I grew up with absent parents, and looking back, I think I fell into this because he gave me attention. Over time, I developed feelings for him. He felt like an escape, someone I could talk to without judgment. He has a wife and a child, almost 3 now, but I never asked much about his home life. About a year in, I realized I wanted something more. So I told him how I felt and ended things. But I never fully cut contact. A few months later, we met again, and he said he missed me, that he couldn't get over me. So we started seeing each other again. Even then, I felt lonely, like I was never a real part of his life. I started dating someone else and told him about it. He got upset, stormed out, and said he was jealous. We stopped talking. But I couldn't move on, and the new relationship didn't feel right either, so I broke it off. A month later, I reached out to him again. This time, he was much more vocal about his feelings. He even said he loved me. He started putting in more effort, taking me to places I liked, spending more time with me. But every time he left to go home, I felt empty. I've told him this. Sometimes I just needed him to be there, to talk to me, but he couldn't. Recently, he left suddenly due to a family emergency, and I had no choice but to accept it. I feel stuck, unable to let go, but also deeply unhappy with the situation. No harsh comments, please, just looking for some perspective. True off my chest. When I bring up an issue, I get screamed at. I 40F not really sure where to start, but I'm wondering, am I to blame for my partner 45M screaming at me? More times than not, I will bring up a topic that hurt or upset me, and he will get really agitated and demand proof for why I'm upset. When I try to explain myself, he yells over me, interrupts me, until I am so turned around I can't speak. Then he will say, "See, told you, you had no proof." Or he will justify why he did the upsetting thing, that it was in response to something I did first. He wants to see a therapist, but we have tried that before, and he presents himself in a mild-mannered way, so the therapist isn't really seeing the true picture. I am not perfect, and sometimes call him a jerk or an asshole after he yells at me for a while and I can't take it anymore. Thanks for listening.